Hello and welcome to Basics for Gamers presents the Basics of Perception in Pathfinder 2nd Edition. In this video we will cover what perception is, how it's calculated, when players make perception checks, and when the GMs might make their perception checks for them in secret, as well as several aspects that modify perception, including the different states of awareness and lighting conditions. Note that this video is meant to lay a foundation for perception that will be built upon in future videos. We will discuss invisibility, initiative, stealth, and how perception applies to those mechanics in the future. Perception measures how aware a character is. It allows you to notice things, search for what's hidden, and tell whether something about a situation is suspicious. All creatures have a perception score, and almost everyone has a proficiency rank of at least trained with perception. Whenever a GM needs to test a character's ability to notice something, they will call for a perception check. As with other checks, this is a D20 roll that's modified by applicable bonuses and penalties. The base perception modifier is the creature's wisdom modifier plus their proficiency bonus in perception. So for example, a first level character who is trained in perception and has a wisdom score of 14 would have a base perception bonus of +5. That's a wisdom score of 14 granting a +2 modifier, and trained proficiency adds 2 plus the character's level for a total of +5. Some actions such as sneaking are challenged by the witnessing character's perception DC, which is simply calculated as 10 plus the character's base perception modifier. For example, your character has a small trinket in their hand that they're trying to hide from a couple of orcs who are approaching. This is a use of the palm and object application of the thievery skill. So in this scenario, you would roll a thievery skill check, which would be contested by the perception DCs of everyone who is observing you. The orc stat block does not show their perception DC, but it does list their modifier as being +5. And we know that perception DCs are 10 plus the perception modifier, therefore the DC for this check is 15. You would roll a D20 and add your thievery skill bonus. If the total of that check is 15 or higher, then you succeed and the orcs don't see that you are hiding a trinket. If the total of the thievery check is 14 or lower, then you fail and they catch you. All creatures and objects exist in one of 4 states of awareness. When you are completely unaware that a creature or an object is present, then that creature or object is considered to be unnoticed. The unnoticed condition by itself does not limit you, but anytime a creature is unnoticed, it is also undetected. Undetected means you do not know what space a creature or object occupies. This could be because you're not even aware that it is present, and therefore is both unnoticed and undetected. Or you could suspect that the creature is present, but you don't know exactly where they are, in which case that target would only be undetected. For example, you're in a dark cave and you hear the sounds of movement nearby, but you can't see what's making the sounds or know exactly where they are. In that case, that creature would be undetected. When dealing with an undetected target, you are flat-footed against all of their attacks, and although you can't see them to attack them directly, you can take your best guess as to which square they occupy and attack into that space. When you do so, the GM will make your attack roll for you in secret, as well as also rolling a flat check versus DC 11. Now, the only exception to this is if you are making an area attack, as area attacks are not subject to these flat checks. And these flat checks are meant to represent a 50-50 chance that even if the target is in the square that you are attacking, you will miss them because it's very difficult to hit a target that you just can't see. And flat checks are just straight D20 rolls with no bonuses or no penalties. Whatever the die shows is your result. If that result is a 10 or lower, then it doesn't matter what the result of your attack roll is, that attack does not hit the target even if you rolled a natural 20 on the attack. But if the result of the flat check is a success, then the attack roll functions as normal. The target does not receive an increase to their armor class for being difficult to see or for being undetected. That penalty is covered with the flat check. And again, remember that this special flat check only applies to direct attacks and not area effects. A fireball spell does not need to make a flat check against undetected targets. Once the GM makes the attack roll and flat check in secret, they will not reveal the result of either of those rolls, but may likely inform you if you did hit something. They might say something like, "You hear the sound of your arrow hit flesh accented by the yelp of a goblin." Or they may say something like, "You hear your arrowhead strike the stone floor and ricochet back against the wall." But you, as the player, will not know if you missed because of a bad attack roll or because there's nothing hiding in that square to be hit in the first place. And note that even if you do succeed in hitting a target that is undetected, you may know they're there, but you are still flat-footed against them until you can actually see them. The next state of awareness is called hidden. When a creature is hidden from you, you know exactly which space they are in, but you still cannot see them. Maybe they just threw sand in your face, blinding you, but you still know they're standing right there in front of you. Unlike with undetected, you know exactly where the target is, even if you cannot see them. Attacking a hidden creature works just like it does with attacking an undetected target, except you make the attack roll and the flat check versus DC 11 instead of the GM rolling those for you in secret. Otherwise, it works the same way as attacking an undetected target, and you are flat-footed against hidden targets until you can see them. The final state of awareness is called observed. When you can see a target, it is observed. There are no special bonuses, penalties, or conditions imposed by an observed target. However, it is possible for an observed target to have the concealed condition if you cannot see them clearly. For example, they're standing in smoke or in fog, or maybe they're in a shadow. You can see them, but the GM determines that your vision is somehow impaired, but not so much so that the target would be considered as hidden or undetected. When attacking a target that is concealed, you must make a flat check exactly as you do when attacking a hidden target, but the DC is only 5 instead of 11. Also note that you are not considered to be flat-footed against concealed enemies. You are only flat-footed against enemies you cannot see, and you can see a target that is observed but still concealed. When a player wishes to improve their awareness of a target, they use the seek action. When seeking, you're actively alert and trying to find something you believe might be hidden within your field of view. This costs one of your 3 actions that round, and a perception check is rolled that is contested by the stealth DCs of any hidden or undetected creatures in your field of view. This works like most any other check, except it is not rolled by the player. Instead, this is one of those times where the GM will make that roll for you in secret without you knowing what the total of the roll is. Making this roll in secret can sometimes confuse players or even lead to accusations of the GM, quote, cheating, but let me try to explain it this way. In the real world, the results of a seek action are very binary with only 2 outcomes. You either notice something or you do not notice something. In the real world, you don't know if you failed on a perception check to notice something. So let's think about how this works at the game table. In the real world, you don't know if you failed on a perception check to notice something, because that something might not actually be there to be noticed in the first place. Let's say the GM doesn't roll this check in secret, and you do it yourself, like in most checks of the game. If you roll a 4 on that check, this tells you that you don't notice anything, but it also tells you that you failed the check, which could make you even more suspicious of your environment. It doesn't mean there's nothing hiding, it only means that you failed at spotting something. And that is more information than what you would have in a real-world situation. Likewise, if you roll a 19, you can feel confident that you succeeded on the check. And not only did you not notice anything, but you're positive there is nothing hiding there at all, which can lead you to behaving in a much more confident approach than what you would probably have in a real-world situation. But when the GM makes the roll for you in secret, they don't tell you what number was rolled, or if you succeeded or if you failed. They simply tell you if you notice something or not. And a player without knowledge of if they succeeded or failed is going to proceed in a more realistic fashion than a player who knows for certain if their perception check was a massive success or a critical failure. Regardless, when you take the seek action, your perception check is rolled in secret and compared against the stealth DCs of all targets in the area that are not already observed by you. Any creature that has the undetected state of awareness that you succeed against becomes hidden from you. And any hidden creature that you succeed against becomes observed by you. Essentially, success on a seek action moves the target one step closer in awareness to being observed. And on a critical success, the target moves 2 steps and becomes observed. This, however, is limited according to which sense the character is using to seek, and also by the lighting conditions of the area if they're using vision. Senses are defined as either being precise, imprecise, or vague. Precise senses allow you to perceive your surroundings in detail, and only a precise sense can be used to observe a target. And the only precise sense that humans have is vision. Imprecise senses allow you to perceive the presence of something, but not with the accuracy and detail of a precise sense. For example, humans have hearing, which is an imprecise sense. We can use hearing to know that someone is present, and may be able to even know where they're standing. But aiming an attack based on hearing alone is going to be difficult. You cannot observe a target with an imprecise sense, so if you detect an enemy on hearing alone, they would have the undetected or hidden conditions instead of observed. The third category of senses is vague senses. At best, vague senses can be used to make an unnoticed creature become undetected. But you can't use a vague sense to make a target hidden or observed. Smelling is a vague sense for humans. If you can't see or hear a target, there is a chance that you might be able to smell them, but this wouldn't allow you to accurately place their location or any great details about them. Therefore, that target would be considered as undetected instead of hidden or observed. And it is worth noting that using smelling or any other vague sense is largely up to the interpretation of the GM to allow or interpret how it will function in any given situation. The last major element that affects perception is lighting. There are 3 broad categories for lighting in Pathfinder. Bright light is the default norm and is created by sunlight and other effects like spells and lanterns. Simply put, in bright light conditions, any creature or object that's not trying to avoid attention should be able to be clearly seen by anyone with average vision or better. Although most creatures function normally in bright light, some monsters may have difficulty. For example, drow elves suffer from light blindness that inflicts them with the dazzled condition while within areas of bright light. Dim light is an area that has illumination provided by a light source that is weaker than bright light. Candlelit rooms, a clear night sky with a full moon and stars out, and standing 30 feet away from a lit torch are all examples of dim light conditions. Creatures and objects in dim light can be observed but have the concealed condition unless the creature observing them has a way to overcome poor lighting. For example, creatures with low light or dark vision can see in dim light as if it was bright light. Therefore, targets in dim light are not concealed to creatures who are using low light or dark vision. Also note that when an item or spell lists the amount of distance that it produces bright light, it also produces dim light for an equal number of feet beyond the range of bright light. So for example, a torch is listed as producing bright light for 20 feet, therefore it also produces dim light from 21 to 40 feet away. And the third category of lighting is darkness. Any creatures or objects within an area of darkness gain the hidden or undetected conditions unless the seeker has dark vision or a precise sense other than vision. Creatures without dark vision gain the blinded condition when perceiving areas of darkness. Okay, perception, senses, and states of awareness can be confusing to a lot of players, especially since terms like unnoticed, undetected, and hidden can mean the exact same thing to most people, but I'm going to try my best to pull it all together so that it makes a little bit of sense here. Say there is a sneaky goblin in the same room as you, but you have no idea they're there. That goblin has the unnoticed condition. Being unnoticed has no real mechanical effect on you or any of your actions, but being unnoticed allows the goblin to use certain abilities that it has against you that require the user of those abilities to be unnoticed by their victim. Since you have no idea the goblin is there, then that goblin is also undetected. The goblin in this case has both the unnoticed and undetected conditions at the same time. In fact, anytime a creature is unnoticed, it will by definition also be undetected. However, the opposite is not always true. Anytime a creature is undetected, it will not necessarily also be unnoticed. Undetected means you don't know where a creature is. This could either be because you have no idea that there's a goblin in the room with you, and therefore it is both unnoticed and undetected, or you might suspect a goblin is in the room with you, but not know where in the room it is hiding. Maybe you were chasing it and it ran into this room. You followed it in, so you know it's hiding somewhere in this room, but you don't know exactly where. In this case, the goblin would be undetected, but it would not be unnoticed, because unnoticed applies only when you have no clue that that creature is anywhere nearby. Moving forward with this example, let's say you followed the goblin into the room. The room's cluttered with supply crates and barrels and is lit by torches. The torches make this a brightly lit room, so you face no penalties due to poor lighting. You perform a seek action to try and find that goblin. You tell your GM what your perception bonus is, and they roll the check in secret. The GM does not tell you if you succeed or fail the check. They only tell you that you do not see a goblin anywhere in the room. Now you saw the goblin run in here, and there's no other doors, so you know it's here somewhere. A barrel in the corner strikes you as suspicious, so you walk up and stab your longsword straight through that barrel. This creates a moment that I like to call Schrödinger's Goblin. There are only two possible realities here. Either the goblin is hiding in the barrel, or the goblin is not hiding in the barrel. And you don't know which of those possibilities is correct because you can't see what's inside the barrel. By running your sword through the barrel, you're not attacking a goblin. Instead, you are attacking the space that you believe the goblin is in. Since the goblin is undetected, being that you don't know its location, the GM makes your attack roll in secret, as well as also making a flat check versus DC 11. The GM does not tell you if your attack was successful or not, only that your sword pierced through the barrel without striking flesh. That was the outcome, but let's go back to our two possible realities. In reality 1, the goblin is hiding in the barrel, which means you missed it. Either the attack roll was lower than the goblin's armor class, or the attack roll was a success, but the flat check that the GM rolled was lower than 11. Either way, you did not hit the goblin, which means that the goblin got lucky and the blade pierced through the barrel without cutting it. In possible reality number 2, the goblin isn't even in the barrel, so it doesn't matter what the GM rolls in secret for your attack or for that flat check. The key here is that all you as a player knows is that you did not stab a goblin when you pushed your sword through the barrel. You don't know if that's because the goblin is inside the barrel and you missed it, or if the goblin was never inside the barrel in the first place. You won't know which of the two possible realities is correct until you actually open up the barrel and look inside of it. On the goblin's turn, you hear frantic footsteps scurry behind a row of crates. You're not sure exactly which of the crates the goblin is behind, but take another seek action using your hearing to track it. The GM rolls this in secret and tells you you can hear faint whimpering behind the leftmost crate. You succeeded on the perception check for seeking, which moved the goblin's state of awareness one step from undetected to hidden. And again, hidden means you know the exact location of a target, but you cannot see them. And since you were seeking with hearing, which is an imprecise sense, that's the most beneficial state of awareness you can have. You cannot observe a target with hearing alone. So you know for certain the goblin is behind the left crate, so you walk around that crate and you look down. You're now perceiving a poor, frightened goblin with vision, which is a precise sense. Therefore, the goblin's awareness condition increases to observed, and you can now interact with that goblin freely without any penalties or flat checks. In this video, we discussed the basics of perception. As a reminder, this video has served to lay a foundation for future videos that will dive deeper into concepts like invisibility, initiative, and stealth. Perception is a measure of how aware a character is and is rolled to determine if they notice something. The base perception bonus is the character's wisdom modifier plus their perception proficiency bonus. A creature's perception DC is 10 plus their perception bonus. This score is used to contest attempts by others to avoid that creature's attention. Creatures perceive each other according to 4 states of awareness. The first state is called Unnoticed, and it applies to any creature you have absolutely no idea is present. You cannot interact directly with an unnoticed creature, but having the unnoticed condition may allow that creature to use certain abilities that function only when the user is unnoticed by their target. The next stage of awareness is Undetected. Undetected means you do not know a creature's location. If you do not know a creature's location because you're not even aware that it's present, then that creature is both unnoticed and undetected. If you know a creature is present, but not its exact location, maybe because you hear a suspicious sound in a dark room, then the creature is only undetected. When a creature is undetected, you are flat-footed against its attacks, and since you do not know where the creature is, you cannot attack it directly, but may choose to attack the space where you think it is. When doing so, the GM rolls your attack for you in secret along with a DC 11 flat check. The results of this check, being if it is a success or a failure, is not revealed to the player. The player is only told if they hit something or did not. And note that flat checks are not required for area effects like, for example, a fireball spell. The next state of awareness is called hidden. When a target is hidden from you, you know exactly what space they are in, but you cannot see them. The hidden condition works exactly like undetected, except the player rolls their own attacks and the DC 11 flat check instead of the GM rolling those in secret. And the final state of awareness is observed. When you can see your target, it is observed. There are no special penalties applied when you are observing your target, but it is worth noting that if you can see them, but not see them perfectly clear, then the GM may grant that target the concealed condition. When you attack a concealed target, you must pass a DC 5 flat check or your attack automatically misses no matter what was rolled on that attack, even if it's a natural 20. The seek action is used when a character wishes to improve their awareness of a target. This is done with a perception check contested by the stealth DC of anything hidden in that field of view. Unlike with most checks in the game, rolls for seeking are made secretly by the GM, who then tells the player what they see or what they don't see. The result of the roll and if it was a success or failure are not revealed to the player. With a successful seek action, the awareness state of the target increases by 1 step from undetected to hidden to observed. Critically succeeding a seek action increases the awareness by 2 stages. However, the highest level of awareness you can have with a creature is limited by what sense you are using to detect them. And if you are using vision, then you are further limited by the area's lighting. Senses come in 3 varieties: precise, imprecise, and vague. Precise senses, like vision, are the only senses able to observe a target. When using an imprecise sense, like hearing, you are limited to the hidden state of awareness at best. You can know where a target is by hearing alone, but you cannot see them and therefore cannot gain the observed awareness state. Vague senses, like smell, might be able to remove the unnoticed condition from a target and make them only undetected, but likely would not be able to improve your awareness of the target to hidden, and this is all largely up to the GM to determine exactly what is possible with a vague sense. There are also 3 levels of light conditions. Areas of bright light are bright enough that details can be clearly seen, and most creatures suffer no penalties seeking a target in bright light. Areas with poor illumination are dimly lit. Candlelight or outdoors under a full moon, for example, would be dim light conditions. You can still see and observe targets in dim light, but unless you have low light or dark vision, all targets in dim light are going to gain the concealed condition. When a target has the concealed condition, you must pass a DC 5 flat check for any direct attack against them. Just like with attacking an undetected or hidden target, if you fail that flat check, then it doesn't matter what you roll on your attack roll, it automatically misses that target. And last, in areas of darkness, you can't see at all unless you have dark vision. And this means that without dark vision, the best state of awareness you can have with a target in darkness is hidden and not observed. With that, we'll bring this video to a close. If you found this video helpful, please give us a like, and don't forget to click that subscribe button and the bell so you never miss out on our future videos. Leave us a comment letting us know what topics you'd like to see covered in our future videos, and we can always be reached through our Twitter and Facebook pages too. If you'd like to use some of the maps that we feature in our videos in your own games, you can find them at Maps of Mastery. A link to that store can be found in the description. Thanks for watching, take care, and we'll see you soon with more basics for your favorite tabletop games.